gentlemen, you hear the alarms going off. Everybody's starting to wake up from their naps, and they're coming back from their lunches and asking for a little extension because it's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. It's another episode of the Going Over podcast, and it is I, your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and 44-year-old professional wrestler, Zack. Primetime Reeb, there it is. And I'm joined alongside, as always, the 7 foot, and he doesn't get any shorter. And unless he puts some lifts on his boots, he sure the hell doesn't get any taller. The 7 foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. What's up, Paul?
Oh, not much, man. Got off work, man, and just start prioritizing stuff, man. So I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna work too long today. I got stuff I want to do when I get home. So podcasting is on the top of the list. So try to get home and do some podcasting. But it is I don't know, man. It's so funny the things that you see, obviously we're in the business of trying to manipulate people's emotions and manipulate some things. And I remember a story from back in the day when trying to get a scholarship to play basketball. And I heard of a guy that was a big time recruit, and his whole thing was, if the people misspelled my name, because his name was a little capital letter, lowercase letter, like some sort of mix of his first name. If they didn't spell it correctly, I don't even open it. I throw it in the garbage. And one of the coaches told me, like, if someone doesn't write you a handwritten letter, they're not really taking a whole lot of time and consideration to reach out to you. Maybe they don't care that much about you. And recently I've been seeing in the mailbox what looks like handwritten, hand addressed envelope. And it's like, then you feel it and there's no impression of somebody writing on it. And it's like, so now people are trying to trick you into thinking that they took the time to handwrite an envelope to you by printing it in cursive and making it look like pen strokes and things like that. So I don't know, man. I was thinking about that today, how people are trying to trick you, but it goes right into what we were going to talk about wrestling.
Got any Irish in you? Because Irish, these nuts were resting on your chin. And to finish that quote, this will be the last Going Over podcast that we ever do. And all podcasts out there can stop now, because I heard Jim Cornette say about the booking. And he said, Eddie Graham used to tell me I manipulate people's emotions to sell tickets. Okay, hit the stop button. We're done there. That's professional wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. I heard Bobby Heenan. I think I sent you the quote. Bobby said, a worker fills the seats, right? So if you're not filling any seats, you're not really a worker. You're just some pretend pro wrestler that's walking out there to fucking make himself feel good. And they said Hulk Hogan wasn't a great worker, but he's still filling the seats. And as we're talking about that, we're talking about Eddie Graham saying I manipulate people's emotions to sell tickets. And that's what this business is. That's what the booking is. One thing I wanted to tell everybody as we get going here, and it's something I had to tell myself. I was talking to Rick the other day on the phone, and I questioned something about one of the talents, in the company, and like, why are we doing this with this person? Are we doing this just to be a placeholder to get here? And he started just, maybe this, blah, 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 blah. And I started to go fucking absolutely crazy in my head listening to what he was saying. And I just said, stop. I said, that's not it at all. And the thing about booking is, if you have to think too hard, if you have to come up with a bunch of stuff that actually doesn't make sense to try to make something fit, then the booking's bad. The characters aren't developed. You haven't placed it in front of the right people to see. And the booking, the booking should flow. There should be so many options of which way you can take the booking when you're actually on the right path of telling the story. The story is not hard to tell if you're telling the story right. And that might sound like, oh yeah, no shit, dumbass, right? Like, oh, if my pitcher's pitching 9 innings, and he's continuing to pitch complete games, then he's fine. He doesn't have nothing to worry. Is first, there's so much that goes into telling the story, but once you're on the path of the story, it should be easy to just keep doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah. I think that's, we've kind of noticed that as we're going, right? Where you walk into a situation and you go, okay, here's what we're doing tonight. And then, and that leads to a bunch of different scenarios that you can make happen. And, we've talked about in the past about creating, heel characters and have your, have your card loaded up with heel characters that can get those reactions from the crowd and get baby faces over and things like that. And, then you're creating those conflicts, right? It's like this guy has a conflict with this guy, but he also has a conflict with this guy. So you can go in a lot of different directions after you create those conflicts. And somebody's got a problem with someone else, and now these two guys have a problem with this guy. And I think at our promotion, I've asked that question of people that are like, oh, it's hard to follow. It's like you're not paying attention if you think it's hard to follow, because you would notice that these guys have conflict with others, right? You'd have the people that have conflict with the primetime character is, myself, Jeffrey Excellence, Illumide, some of the referees, maybe Kid Carson. Like you have a bunch of people that potentially could match up with you. So you can go all types of directions, and depending on who's on the card, you can go a whole bunch of different ways. So creating all those different things gives you a lot more flow to your show, and then it's not like trying to force things to make sense. It's like, well, this makes sense because of this thing that already happened. So, and we've created multiple paths that we can go down and then see how it develops and see how the crowd reacts to different things, and then obviously trying to give them what they want, right? Trying to influence them and toy with their emotions so you can sell more tickets. And obviously that is the main goal of the wrestling business, is to intrigue people enough that they want to spend their hard-earned money to buy a ticket and come to the event, and give you an opportunity to do other things like sell concessions and merchandise and all these different things to make money in your wrestling business.
Well, that's what it is. It's the wrestling business. A character that's over, somebody that is good at what they do, in turn can elevate anybody on their show. You just said there's so many conflicts that with referees and all these people you just named that I can match up with. There's also people that I don't have to have any conflict with right now. Just putting them in the path of Sergio or Bad News or myself in that situation at RWF or anywhere, you throw them out. You throw somebody out there that you want to get over. Are you going to I guess they say, shove a rocket up its ass? And it's like, I love that quote, because it's like, could you like physically imagine putting a real rocket, lubing up a rocket and cramming it up your orifice, your back door orifice, and lighting it on fire, and just the rocket he's taken off. Well, now we lose that talent because he's never coming back. He's not a fucking boomerang. It's not the space shuttle that's planning on returning from the moon. So we shove a rocket up its ass and light that powder keg up and send that boy to the top, right? But when we're talking about the booking, I hear so many people and they say, well, it's this is what we do and this is how we do it. And wrestling is storytelling. It has always been storytelling. As a matter of fact, they stopped doing it for real in the carnival days because they couldn't put a time frame on the matches. Some of them went forever. So they said, hey, how about we fake this so we can control and manipulate how long these matches are going? And oh, by the way, how about we have an antagonist and then the good guy? And then now we can take this to the carnival and put on a show to manipulate the audience's emotion. So, I mean, pure pro wrestling is great, right? Pure pro wrestling is great. I'm a Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels fan. I like Kurt Angle. I liked a lot of these guys that came through that were. I like good athletic workers, but you have to tell us a story in order for us to care. If the matches on your show, and look, I've been lucky enough here recently that everything matters because of the time that I put into everything and having my own guys. I really focused on doing something where everything matters. My coach said only the main event should have a story. Everything else should just, and I disagree. I disagree. And that's okay for me to disagree. It's okay for me to want to do, I see things differently and I'm going to do them my way. And I'm going to advise other people when they ask me to do them that way too. Not my way. I'm not the first guy to want my entire show to make fucking sense in every match to serve a purpose. So if you're out there and you may not like what I'm going to say, and that's okay. A lot of people don't like when somebody suggests something or somebody says like, hey, try to get this here, try to do this. Even if you're coaching someone wrestling, try to get your company to the point where if you're putting 7 or 8 matches on the card, every fucking match serves a purpose to vehicle to move forward. If you're not moving the story forward, if this show is ending and it's not giving people a reason, whether it's 1 week or 2 weeks, to go across the bridge or to come back to that same building if you're running in the same place. If you're not giving us a reason at the end of the show to want to go to your next show, whether it's in the same place or fucking 10 miles away, then it's not going over time. Definitely. It's not going to grow. Word of mouth's not going to pick up. And people are going to say, I'll catch it next time. Your thoughts on the process that I'm talking about?
Well, I think it makes perfect sense. And, as you're talking, I'm thinking about like old basketball rivalries, right? That, you think about wrestling, putting on good matches and like, oh, this is going to be a competitive match and it'll be fun to watch. But I feel like those basketball rivalries back in the day were so competitive. And there always was that story within, whether it was, Magic versus Bird or Isaiah versus Michael Jordan or, the basically, ways to try to shut down Michael Jordan and physicality, the Jordan rules, things like that. And you think of like, that was a story within these competitive basketball games. But it was must-see TV, right? Because you wanted to see what happened. Like, how are they going to go about, stopping Jordan from scoring? Or, how is this person going to step up? Magic Johnson stepping up in the absence of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and, things like that with the storytelling. And it's even got to the point where people are saying that the NBA is fixed, right? they're looking for ratings, right? What matchups are going to be the most must-see TV things, rather than, you know, which teams are the best competing for the championship, you know. And it's you know, look at it however you want, but it's a business as well, right? The more eyes you can get on the product, the more sponsorships you're going to be able to sell to businesses who want to advertise on the you know, during the finals and things like that. So all of these things revolve around money and trying to get to the point where you know, you're getting people in the door. And obviously the storytelling aspect, where people, you know, maybe they're not interested in what's going on in the main event, but they're interested in Sergio Santana, and they come to the shows because they want to boo him, and they want anyone that guy wrestles to beat his ass, right? You know, maybe people come to the show to watch a Jerry Gigolo, right? Maybe it's a you know, it's like, oh, this guy comes up in the crowd and he gives you know, ladies hugs and roses and different things. Man, there needs to be things on each show that are entertaining, you know, and kind of feed different parts of the audience, you know, so everybody can kind of get involved in what's going on, you know. And you think about the old school WWF, where there were a bunch of storylines going on, right? There were the main event stuff, there were the Intercontinental title stuff, there was tag team title stuff, but there was always something going on that meant something moving forward, you know. And the way that you put your shows together, you're you know, it's very reminiscent of those days where you know, where I fell in love with pro wrestling and the stories that were being told. And you know, if you weren't into tag team matches, you might be into, you know, the person that's got the internet or the Intercontinental title, or you might be into Hulk Hogan, or you might be into, you know, what's going on there, right? That you know, good versus evil, or US versus you know, a foreigner, or something along those lines. So I felt like you always had something to look forward to and something to follow along. And I think the way that you try to do that is you know, is refreshing for me. You know, just the way that I like to watch wrestling, you know. And obviously not everyone is the same. And you think about, there's definitely that niche of people that they just want to see that athleticism, right? They want to see a 20-minute choreographed gymnastics routine, and it's, you know, it's kind of, you try to get a little bit of whatever's going to sell the tickets, right? So so I don't know, man. I think that's I think what you're doing is awesome. Obviously the crowds, you know, tell the story, you know. It's like people are coming because they're interested in what's going on and what's going to happen next. And, you know, just like you said, man, if you leave the show and you're not wondering like what's going to happen in whatever the situation you're interested in following, then you're not doing a good job with your show. If people aren't going to want to come back, you know, you think about the cliffhangers that I often mention, where it's like, you know, oh, that's all the time we got for tonight, fans. You know, come check us out next Saturday morning, or whatever it was, you know, where you're just like, oh shit, I wonder how that match ended, or I wonder what's going to happen next with this situation. So creating that intrigue is what brings those fans back to want to spend their money to see what happens next.
Well, that's a classic Doc line. Like, you were sitting there one time. He's ending different matches with that. That's all the time we have for Limelight for Doc Haywood. And, you know, congratulations to Bam. I can't pronounce his last name. I don't want to butcher it, but he scored 83 points last night for the Miami Heat, putting him right in between Wilt Chamberlain in the big 100-point game and Kobe Bryant with the 81-point game. And it's funny that you talk about basketball, right? Because you talked about Jordan and Isaiah Thomas and Magic and Bird and all these people and the stories they told. Well, guess what? We always compare these sports to professional wrestling because they resemble each other so much. You draw up plays in basketball, right? Especially when it's all on the line, the story. It's we gotta get this game winner. This is our last chance in football, everything. So when you draw up a play in basketball and it gets broken, the defense is good, or just a million things can happen, right? It's like coming up with the finish or coming up with the spot or something you want to do. The play it has the opportunity to get broken up. That's the beauty of the story. The true greats of wrestling, of any sport, they ad lib. They get the job done. That's what makes them a star. That's what makes it Michael Jordan, Magic, Barry. That's what makes great teams and dynasties. And that's what makes great professional wrestlers, is the plays can get broken up. And we have to find another way to get the job done if the play is broken up. And that's right there, listening to you talk about basketball is like, I hate when people have, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Have it in your mind, right? Like, have it in your head. I understand that if two people are going out there, and I don't think this is like a misconception of it. If two people are going out there and they're choreographing the entire match, just spot for spot, move for move, heat, hope, all that bullshit, then I would assume two things. One, we don't have a very good trained professional wrestler here. Bottom line. If you don't like it, fuck off. It's the truth. Or two, maybe you do have a trained professional wrestler who's just not very confident in their abilities to do the job. Because here's the truth. You could be trained by somebody great in that ring, but it doesn't teach you how to listen to the crowd. And a lot of people don't want to. It's a lot of stuff. Like, me and Ethan just joined a gym called Ironborn Strength, and a shout out to my boy, the lifting pastor, Chris Jackson. He got us in there, and the whole team, there was like 12, 13 of us after training on Sunday. And man, we went in there, and I seen a lot of guys that have never touched a fucking weight in their life. Like, I felt bad for them. Like, they put like 245s on the bench press, 135 pounds, right? 135 pounds. And MILF Hunter got under there, and the fucking bar like collapsed on his chest and his neck. And I've seen the type of women that this guy goes after, right? So, I mean, if a woman was on top of him and he was about to blow his load, I'm just pretty sure that she's getting pregnant if his sperm is good. Because there's no way any woman, and this isn't saying they got to be fat. This is saying any woman who's 130 pounds, which is small, or bigger, this guy couldn't press him off his chest if he wanted to. And I saw a couple other people, and it blows my mind. I hear people say, you got to have a good body. Look at you, Paul, you got a little belly on you. Or look at you, Zack, you're not in the shape you were before. I'll still get under 225 pounds and kick that bitch up a few times. Okay? No doubt about it. So it baffles me that there's people in pro wrestling that are like, and me and Ethan were mailing it in too. We were going to fucking Planet Fitness. This place is fucking dirty, grimy. It's a fucking Ironborn's. It's a fucking gym, man. You go in here, you scream, yell, cuss, do whatever. Take your goddamn shirt off if you want, right? You're going into Planet Fitness, you're like, there's the lunk alarm. Woo, woo, woo. Don't bang your weights. Sanitize your hands and clean off your equipment when you're done, when you're lifting those purple pussy cables. And I was going in there for the last year or two and mailing it in. So I'm part of the problem too, but I'm done being part of the problem. I want rusty weights, man. I want shit beating off the metal, man. I want to sit on a bench press or grab something that probably has the flu all over it. You know what I mean? I'm ready for that. But it just baffles me that you would get into the professional wrestling industry and you would not, and you've never lifted weights. You know why people don't? You know why people don't better themselves in training? And I probably scared off a million people. They don't better themselves in training because they don't want to embarrass themselves trying to learn it. Just like you don't want to embarrass yourself. At least I respect MILF for getting under 135 and trying it. Was that embarrassing? Yeah. But you got to start somewhere, right? I remember when Jacob Fatu, Pete Inky, a guy named my buddy Pete Inky, brought Jacob Fatu up to training like 6-7 years ago in the work farm. You've been there when it was, that's where you choke slammed me through the goddamn table. And I remember Jacob was there for an hour on the outside, would never get in the ring. And I looked over at him and I said, hey, bro. I said, you going to get in here? And Jacob like stood up and gave us this announcement of, I was trained by the two very best trainers, Gangrel and my Uncle Rikishi. And I think so too, you know? But then he says, I'm sorry, Oos, I don't know what the fuck you're doing in there. And I said, oh, we're just working, baby. Come on in. You know what I mean? You came all this way, just come on in. And even someone as great as him, you know, came up there and was like, I don't know what you're doing. And I have so many people that come in and they're like, oh, we do that chain, but nobody explains why we're doing it. Nobody explains the fine detail in between all this stuff. We're just like, knock them down with a tackle. Nobody explains why this shit is happening or how you're supposed to sell or where your footwork's supposed to be. And that's why what I'm blown away here is, and then I'll shut the fuck up because I could go on this all day. What baffles me is that Ugly has a building in Sacramento, and inside of those small doors in that old smoke shop is not only Big Ugly, but Oliver fucking John. And I just am blown away that if you're living within 2 fucking hours of this goddamn guy that I hear everybody go on the internet and go, oh, he's the best. He's a legend. All over my PCW logo. Stupid up on my face. Why aren't you fucking training with him? He's there. You know why? Because you don't fucking want it. That's it. You just don't fucking want it. Why aren't you in the gym cranking up some weights? Because you just don't fucking want it. Which baffles me to death because it's like, we got to lift weights. We got to do this. Shit, on my birthday, Luster the Legend fucking fat shamed me on my birthday. Love Dave to death. But me and him talked and we're great, but he said, sent me a picture and he's like, oh, yeah, and you tell people on your podcast to work out. And immediately I was like, fuck you. You know what I mean? But the quality recovery was like, hey, let's figure this out. Because he's got a fucking Greek god's body. He wants it. He wants it. He's willing to put in the work for his body. So you know what? That was my motivation. Was this dickhead telling me that I'm fucking out of shape and how can I go on this podcast and tell people I am? And I'm glad he did it because he should. To most people, they would have got offended and it would have came across as like an asshole thing, which at the time probably was an asshole thing. But I didn't take it as an asshole thing. I took it as, hey, you're fucking right, man. Maybe I should go get in fucking shape. Then you won't have a reason to fucking fat shame me. And that is what I'm getting at, is you have all these people in all these places, but everyone is circling around these people and then just showing up at a show to like, hey, what's going on? I'm going to watch you do a seminar so maybe I can jot down some notes on it. Get your fucking feet wet. Get your hands dirty. Get the fuck in there. Ah! All right, I'm done.
No, it's a great point, and it's, you know, we talk about it all the time, and it's just one of those things. Like, I don't think that idea goes through a lot of people's head that you almost have to train to take on the wrestling training, right? You have to prepare yourself to start training to be a pro wrestler by starting to get yourself in shape in some sort. You know, I've definitely heard the people that go, and people have pitched it to me as well. Well, what if we did pro wrestling as like an exercise class? People could come in there and get a good sweat and blah blah. And it's like, I don't want those people. I want people who are you know, who want to be pro wrestlers. I don't want you to come into this class like it's fucking yoga. I want you to come in because you're passionate and you have a dream of being a pro wrestler. You know, that's the goal for me. It's like, I want people that want to do this, and I want to help them achieve that goal. You know, and you know, maybe it's silly to go, oh, we're not doing that, you know, because maybe that could make you a shit ton of money. You know, maybe people come there and you rub their dick in the dirt and make them do fucking calisthenics, but because it's in a wrestling ring, it's something different, right? It's not just on, you know, the gym mats at the gym. You're not just, oh, okay, well, we're doing push-ups. We're going to do progressions from doing push-ups on your knees to doing them on your toes to you know, the different progressions of getting to the point where you can actually do push-ups. You know, but we're doing it in a wrestling ring, so it's pro wrestling cardio training. You know, we're doing it for, you know, a 30-minute class, you know, 4 times a week. You know, just, I don't know, man. It's just, but you definitely, you know, for me, you definitely hit the nerve, man, because I don't know how many times I've heard, you know, I would come train, but you guys train way out there, right? And I'm just like, you know, where Zack trains, right, in the middle of fucking nowhere, you know, just a small town. It's like, and you know where these guys come from to train with Zack? Some people are coming from hours away, and it's like, do you want to be a pro wrestler or do you not want to be a pro wrestler? You know, it's like, not everyone. Like I just look back at when I first started and how fortunate I was that there was a school, you know, in Reno, you know, where I lived within, you know, 20 or 25-minute drive of getting to the school, you know. And you think about how many people have I, when we didn't have a school, would I go, well, the closest people to here are either go train with Zack or go train with Ugly. You know, like those are the 2 closest schools. If you want to be a pro wrestler, you will contact these people and you will figure out how to get there twice a week or 3 times a week or whatever you're going to do. If you really want to be a pro wrestler, and if you don't want to be a pro wrestler, you're not going to be willing to make those drives. But the stories that I've heard about people getting into the business and traveling several hours each direction, you know, once or twice a week, just to get the experience of training to be a wrestler, you know, is countless, the stories. But those are also the people that, you know, want to be pro wrestlers are getting into the business. A lot of times you're hearing those from people that have quote unquote made it, how their, you know, their origin story. Oh, I was driving, you know, 3 hours each way to get to this wrestling school because it was the closest one to me, right? So for me, it baffles my mind that it's like, you live 40 minutes from where we're at, or an hour from where we're at, and but it's too much, right? Oh, I can't make it to training twice a week because it's too far. And it's like, well, then it's probably out of the scope of reality that you're going to be a pro wrestler someday. If that's a sacrifice you're not able to make to do that. So, and I don't know, man. I just think about like the beginning of wrestling training for me, and it was the staple, right? We would work out, we would train, we would go eat, we would, before shows, we would all meet at the gym and work out, and then we'd eat, and then we'd leave to get on the road. It wasn't a negotiable thing, right? It was like, this is what we're doing. We're meeting at the gym and we're working out before we train, or we're meeting at the gym and we're working out before we leave on a road trip, because we want to walk into the door and we want people to go, oh, look, there's a group of pro wrestlers right there. Not, oh, I wonder who those guys are. Is one of those guys a ring announcer or a manager or a valet, or I wonder what that guy's going to do on the show. You walk in to a show with a sleeveless shirt on, and your arms are big, and you look muscular, and people go, oh, no doubt those guys are wrestlers, right? You just look the part. And and I'm not naive to the fact that there were the King Kong Bundys and the Kamalas and the big fat guys, and there's obviously the opposite end of the spectrum with guys that are smaller and things like that that get it done. But those are the exception, not the rule. So good.
Well, if you look at it, right, like when we started, it was BTW and it was APW. Rick Thompson originally, Mike Modest, Donovan Morgan, BTW had Jason Styles, and I Shane Cody. So it was BTW and APW. And then maybe me and Ugly are the at fault guys here, because Ugly with SPW, RPW, and NAW, because there was Brian Ward trained him. So then Skits broke off from the branch because Ollie and Paul DeMarco had the Pro I Am Wrestling in downtown Sac, which is right around the corner from, like, literally right around the corner from Next Level. So from APW to BTW to now the SPW collection and Pro Championship Wrestling, Adam, Malachi, Corey Luster, Brian Brigger, they all came down and trained with us until me and my dad built them the ring for Coastal Pro. And then Mustafa was up there with Brian training you guys and everything else. So now we're starting to expand this thing. But I look at so many companies, the Suburban Commandos, the Stoner Brothers, Dustin and Derek started with us. And then they got their own ring, and then they got trained by Joe Applebaum. You know what I mean? And Applebaum came out of APW. I got Marcus Mack in the business when Ollie came back. Gabe worked under Roland for so many years and did all that work. Then he started Revolution. Sparky I was coaching Sparky at APW, and Sparky then branched off and started Gold Rush Pro Wrestling when Roland was gone. Dom and Steve-O started Fog City from APW. John Cooper started with me. I trained Scoot Robertson when he was just a kid, not 8, but 13. And you look at the history of this, and it was APW and BTW, right? Because Pro I Am Wrestling wasn't around all but a year or two, and I don't even think they put on any shows, but it was Ollie training down there. But if you look at the DNA of all this shit from Wrestling in Reno, how did Wrestling in Reno get its start? You got the first batch of guys from Reno, and we're talking a pretty good cast of characters. Adam Thornstowe, Luster the Legend, Malachi, Corey Dayton, the trainer, Brian Brigger, Doink number 2, They came down here and trained with us for 3 months to get going in 2000. And then me and my dad built him a ring and took it up to him. And that's the birth of what you have right now. So all these things, right? It's like, here's Ugly running his promotion in his school with Oliver John that has my DNA. J.R. Kratos started with Ugly, and so did Tim Thatcher at fucking SPW. But then they went down there with Josh Edlow when he had that school down there for the Sacramento Wrestling Federation, or I think that's what it was called. And they started training with Oliver John. Ugly, Primetime, Skits, Oliver John, APW, Gabe Ramirez, Roland Alexander, Mike Modest, Mustafa. Like, it's all connect the same DNA. The grandfathers are, we're all the sons, you know, and these are all the grandkids. The DNA is tied in so tight. And that's what I'm saying. If you haven't trained under Oliver John, if you haven't trained under Ugly, if you haven't trained under me, if you haven't trained under anybody up there at the Reno Wrestle Factory or with Gabe Ramirez down there, if you haven't trained under especially when Skits was around, if you haven't trained under these people, even Jason Styles and those guys at BTW, if you haven't gone under that learning tree to learn the business, then what happens is this. Somebody trains to be a wrestler and they don't, or okay, you can get in the ring now, right? You're on the show. And then that person goes and lands a job as a head trainer at another school or starts up their own school. They rent a building, somebody rents a building, they fucking start training other wrestlers. It took me 11 years under Skits, Oliver John, Roland, Gabe Ramirez, fucking JJ Perez, Robert Thompson. It took me 11 years, and I'm running my company all this time, before I said, okay, I'm confident enough to put my name on there as the head trainer of the PCW work farm, right? So what you have is you have some shithead who's not completely trained, and then he starts a wrestling school. And then he trains 10 other shitheads who are even worse trained than he was because he's not completely trained. And now you have out of these 10 to 20 shitheads that he trained, even if a third of them, a quarter of them are going to go out and start their own wrestling promotion. And you get all this shit training people, and then it just accumulates into what I like to call modern wrestling of today, because nobody continued to instill shit in this talent. And people may not like that, and that's totally fine. You can unsubscribe us all day long because you're not subscribing anyway. So I could care less either way, because I'm going to stick up for the business that I'm passionate about. And passion and purpose creates fucking the discipline that you need. So if somebody is coming down to the Reno Wrestle Factory, they want to train with Big Paul Isadora. And if Luster the Legend or Adam Thornstowe was down there, that's another person that they would want to train with, you know? So there are good guys out there, but the thing about there's a lot of guys that could do it, but they don't have the time. They don't have the facility. They don't have the structure. They don't have the programming in place to do it. So when you have a place, man, and I'm not even talking about my place, fuck my place for a minute, right? Like, I'm just saying, like, it just baffles me because there's, you know, back in the day, it was Bay Area wrestling. There wasn't much in Sac. There was nothing in Reno. There was nothing down here where I was. It was APW, BTW. And you have like Ugly's got a place down there, and Oliver John's there. You know, so many people, Nicole Savoy, Dave Dutra, Tim Thatcher, that big guy you always talk about, Brian, big guy is J.R. Kratos and Brian something.
Oh, yeah. Brian Reed or
Yeah. A lot of people, they left whatever school they were going to train with Oliver John back in the day. And here he is sitting down here. Ugly's offering you. I see Ugly put up so many times. He puts that picture of him and Ollie posing, and he's like, Oliver John's here. And just people aren't taking advantage of it. And it's like, that's what's going to make you better. I enjoy those seminars I get to do, man. I look forward that once a month to sit there with my fucking coach and enjoy it. But it's there, but it's difficult. You know, it's there, but it's difficult. The weights are there, but it's difficult. Sometimes it's easier to say, I go for runs and do some push-ups at my house. Yeah, right. Sure you do.
You say it's difficult, but I was going to say, I can tell you the secret to what's going on because I've seen it 100 times. Your training, Ugly's training, my training, it's too difficult. Somebody else is going to let you slide a little bit more. You don't have to get in the gym. You don't have to come to training all the time. You don't have to train for that long. You don't have to be really good at chain wrestling. You don't have to understand storytelling or psychology as much, right? You can kind of get the way that you're describing this, the way that some of these schools come about, it's a copy of a copy, right? And you say, like, when you copy a copy, it gets a little bit worse, and then you copy that copy, and it gets a little bit worse. And I had referenced in the past that movie Multiplicity, right? Michael Keaton is basically making copies of himself, and the further down the line, a copy of a copy of a copy becomes really, really shitty, and I think that's what happens. So you get a copy of a copy of a copy, or a non-fully trained guy trains a guy that's then is not fully trained. So the guy that's 95% trained now trains the next guy that's 90% trained. That's just so on and so forth. And now you got a guy that's half trained running a wrestling school and trying to train people how to be a pro wrestler. And it equals what we're seeing, which is people that don't know how to tell a story, that aren't in shape, that don't understand the business that we grew up on and what drew us to pro wrestling to start with. So I think, kind of short and sweet, that's essentially what it is. I don't want to have to work as hard as you're going to push me. So I'll just go to this other school who's going to let me slide a little bit and not be as hard on me. We experienced that 100 times probably. Somebody that didn't want to train with us because we were too hard on them and we were going to make them do it over and over and over until they got it right. They didn't want that. They wanted somebody who's going to let them slide, and that's good enough. You take a decent bump. You understand a little bit about chain wrestling. You understand that it's in theory supposed to be a good guy versus a bad guy, and you understand a little bit about it's you're telling a story and the psychology. If you get hit in the face, you're supposed to sell that and things like that. But then the further along you get, the less important some of those things become with certain trainers and training schools. So that's why we have such a watered down version of pro wrestling. When you see, we talk about how many promotions there are. It's like there can't be, on a certain weekend you got 75 to 100 wrestlers wrestling on shows. There is not 75 or 100 very polished wrestlers in our vicinity on any given night. There's there might be a couple handfuls, but definitely not 100.
And not here. It's everywhere.
Right.
Like, that's the beauty of social media, right? It's easier to be seen. That's the fucking problem with it. It's easier to be seen. I don't give a fuck if you're in fucking the East Coast or you're in the Midwest or if you're here, I'm watching what you're doing because this is my line of work. This is my business. I'm supposed to be watching what you're doing. You know, it's like the people that message you and go, yeah, just inquiring a booking, right? Where me and my buddy are $100 and then you hear the magic number of like, we'll take care of our own travel and stuff, which is a surprising one, but it's like, you're $100 for what? You want a shot here? You obviously heard about us, right? You're inquiring a booking. Show me what you got. You know, show me why I should pay you $100 moving forward. Because I'm sure not. I'm not gonna fucking pay it to you right now. I don't know who the fuck you are. Get down here. You want to be on the show? Let's see what you got. And then you get people going, well, they're taking time away from their families and they're risking their bodies. Yeah, they're fucking, yeah, they're risking their bodies. Fuck yes, they're risking their bodies. And they're willingly taking time away from their families. Either way, whether you pay them or not. And they're going to risk their bodies whether you pay them or not because they're bred to get hurt. And the second you tell somebody that, you're like, hey man, you know, you got pretty good movement, you bump well, but you know, I think here's the next step. Here's the next person you should work with. Here's the next step. A lot of times I'm not even pitching to somebody that you need to come to me. If somebody comes and trains with me and they've trained somewhere else and somebody else has already fucking pocketed their money, I'm not going to take a penny from that person. I see a little potential in them and I'm like, come on down. If you'd like me to help you. A lot of times I'm pitching to someone else that's closer to them that I think could help them out. And the loyalty of some of these guys is great. You know what I mean? They're like, I got to ask this person. I got to ask that person. That's the old rule, right? But the thing is, man, you can always get better. We're always shooting higher, whether it's the storytelling on our shows, whether it's in the gym and working on our bodies, losing weight, whether it's just getting better in the ring. And it's such an offensive thing, right? Like the guys that do work hard and have to do this difficult thing, they're more like open and humble and like really cool about things. And the guys that don't, they're these guys. The whisperers, I call them. Like you could be at a seminar. I had to get on to the guys the other day. I'm like, fuck, dude. Just because you get done doing what you're doing in the ring don't mean you can hop out and start having a fucking conversation. Kick rocks. It's going to be run time. And I might even get on a run with you so I can talk shit to you all the way around the run as I'm gassed out too. So and people get so offended by like, if you say something to somebody, you're like, hey man, here's how I know you're not properly trained well. If you don't kick out away from your opponent, if your opponent's on the left side of you covering and you don't kick out away from him and try to get to your stomach early on in the match, you're not trained well. Okay. If somebody has you on the mat and you don't know how to sit out or try to get away to the open side, you're probably not trained very well. If you barrel a motherfucker over with a tackle without making any noise and your first thing that you're thinking of instead of pinning this guy is to run to the side rope over here. If you're in a headlock and I'm going to say, like, if you shift forward and run the guy back to the rope and put some enthusiasm into it, okay, whatever. But if you just are in a side headlock and you get your hands around his waist and you're just gallivanting the man to the back rope and lazily shooting him off so he can knock you the fuck over, if you're dropping down like the Statue of fucking Liberty. Have you seen these kids? They shoot them off the ropes and then they put one arm to the side and one arm out like they're holding the fucking candle torch, like, I don't know, a fucking dolphin or something. And then the guy runs over him and like the athleticism I've seen going into it and getting back up is great, but it's like, why the fuck? I think someone told me one time, well, I put my left arm right here so that the guy doesn't trip over my arm on the way by. And I'm like, what? Then that guy's a fucking out of shape a slob if he can't jump over you on a drop down. He shouldn't be dropping down ever. And B, maybe he needs to, if you're not bad news Blakesley size, if you're not like in some abnormally large individual, 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, then what the fuck are you dropping down for? I'm never going to shoot bad news Blakesley off the rope. And I assume probably you wouldn't either, but you might get away with it. But why would you ever drop down if bad news Blakesley was coming off the rope? I mean, you might be the dumbest son of a bitch in the entire world. Oh, 500-pound Blakesley's running off the ropes. I think I'm on Statue of Liberty. I hope he smashes you for real and you shit your pants. But I can sit there with Ollie. I'm not even going to throw Ugly under the bus here. I know he wouldn't care. I'm not going to throw you. I'm not going to throw Ugly under the bus. I'm going to throw Ollie under the bus because Ollie don't give a flying fuck. But when I'm sitting here with the guy that I go, that is the guy to me. And he's looking at this product going, they don't even know how to do this. They don't even know how to do that. And it's something so simple that should be taught to you. Like, hey, progression drills are a fucking warm-up. It's a fucking warm-up. If you're 2-3 years in the business, or even if you're 3-4 months in the business, and we're still clapping for you that you almost got a handspring bump or a heel bump, that is a participation. That is a parental participation clap. Yeah, Timmy, good job. Nice job, Bobby. Maybe next time. Keep coming back. I tried to quit taking your money months ago, but you keep showing up.
I'm just laughing to myself. I was like, you drop down on Blakesley. What if the guy fucking trips and falls on top of you?
Then it's going to break
you could be shitting your pants for real.
Then the Statue of Liberty is missing an arm. You know what I mean?
Right. That's it.
That's what it's like. How many day after tomorrow? Every fucking movie, it's always like you get to see the Statue of Liberty mutilated or destroyed in some of these world-ending movies, and that's just what. Why would you drop down without? Why would you not have both of these hands here in front of you while you're sliding through the drop down? Who the fuck? Why would you put one arm back there? Why? That's like me coming out to fight you in MMA with one arm. I'm like, come on, baby. You know why there's never been a one-armed man in MMA? Because he would get knocked the fuck out. Plain as day. You ever seen a one-armed boxer? You ever seen anybody in porn with no dick? No. Ain't nobody ever with no dick railing girls, even if they got a strap-on on, because it's not, even if it's belted around their body, it's not as good as the real thing that is connected to their body. Okay, so it just baffles me, man. And people would be mad at me or whatever, and it's like not like they haven't before. They'll be like, he must be drinking again. That fucking drunk, fucking pervert. What does he know? You're right. What do I know? You know, I know this. I haven't had 10 fucking tryouts with WWE as an extra and 10 fucking tryouts with AEW as an extra. You know what you've been there. I've talked to them before. I just didn't go. If you're working for them and you're getting tryout matches, guess what? 100% they're telling you why you're not getting signed. They are telling you what you need to work on. And guess what? If you've been there 20 fucking times as an extra and the top company keeps telling you what you need to work on, and it's like they told you to lose weight. You became a fucking actual bronzed up bodybuilder. Then you came back and they said, "Oh, you're too muscular. You need to put some weight on." And you were like, "Fuck you. I'm not jumping through your hoops anymore." Right?
That's it, man.
What you said. You're like, I ain't jumping. Fuck that. Fucking dropped 30 fucking pounds. I was doing bodybuilding competition. Those pictures were fucking incredible, man. You were tanned up, 7 foot fucking 8-pack bodybuilder. And then you came back and you're like, not good enough. Too small. It's right there in front.
You gotta get smaller. Gotta get bigger. Didn't I tell you?
Was what they tell Mike Modest. That was my favorite. They're like, he's not big enough to be a heavyweight, and he's not small enough to be a cruiserweight. It's like, just tell the guy you're not going to sign him. And then they're over here with Tony Jones. They're like, oh man, you get this chest rounded and out a little bit, and you're in the hunt. And what did he do? Never did. They even said get a gear that's a little more appealing. Get your chest bigger. Get some gear that's more appealing. Never changed a thing. What? That's, hey, consider it a relationship, right? Hey, I don't like it when you talk to me this way, or you make decisions without me. We're supposed to be in a relationship or a marriage, and you keep doing it, or you don't ever change it. Guess what? You're not going to be fucking married. You're not going to have in-house pussy anymore. It's just gone. You don't make it as far as you do. You want to know about being a successful father and being in a successful marriage that works? Talk to Paul. You want to know about not being able to be in a successful relationship and divorce and what not to do? Come talk to old Prime Time. That'll be our next one. Fucking the two sides of marital relationships. The good, the bad. Wait, the bad. Wait, the good. Wait, no, the good, the bad. Anything else before we go, man? I'm not even putting a time limit on this show. I'm having too much fun right now.
That's it, man. We got that small town brawl, man, on the 21st. So 10 days away, Yerington, Nevada. And you know who's front and center on that poster?
Who?
It's the lawman.
The lawman, Larry.
That's right.
1, my shoulders hurt. 2, my shoulders hurt. 2.5, time for shoulder surgery. Oh, we got Ugly Dojo versus PCW on March 20th, the night before, at the Jack Rabbit Brewing Company, or you can call it the Jack Rabbit Brewery in West Sacramento. I also want to say real quick, Jalen Love posted in our group and said, ain't worked out in 3 weeks, and I still have a better physique than everybody in PCW.
Wow, nice.
Wake up call, because he ain't lying. Luster the Legend fat shaming me on my birthday to get me motivated again. He wasn't lying. Get in the ring. You got the right people around you. Let's train. I'm Zack Primetime Reeb. Hit that subscribe button, or if I see you next time and you got something to say, shut the fuck up. For the 7-foot wrecking ball, Big Paul Isadora, I'm taking the headphones off because guess what? We be Gizoin Gizova.